You are 40 minutes into a Claude session. The output is good, the voice is right, the work is moving. Then somewhere around message 6, Claude starts to drift. The tone softens, the hedging creeps back in, the register you spent the first 5 messages teaching it slips away. Most people start a new chat. That is one option. The other option is one character. A single asterisk pair around the word you want Claude to hold on to. Plain, dry, specific. Claude reads the emphasis the way you would read it in a colleague's message. The voice locks back in. The work continues. This is Cues.02. 5 more cues from 6 months of heavy practice. Each one a piece of shorthand Claude reads that most people never use because they don't know it is there. The frame is the same as last time. Claude reads English, not just prompts. The shorthand layer is where the real operator speed lives. Quick caveat before we start. These aren't system commands. There is no asterisk flag in the codebase. There is no /aside command anywhere in the docs. Claude reads them because they mean something specific in English, and Claude was trained on enough natural conversation to recognize the intent. The punctuation is decorative. The cue does the work, which means these cues are robust across model updates in a way actual commands aren't. They will keep working for as long as English does. Cue 1. Asterisk emphasis. The move. Put asterisks around any word you need Claude to hold on to across a long session. The word becomes a load-bearing instruction without you having to rewrite the brief. You write it the way you would in a Slack message to a colleague. Plain, direct, no softening. Claude reads the emphasis as register pinning and holds the line. The example. I am writing a script with Claude. The brief says the tone is dry. 3 messages in, Claude starts adding warmth. Adjectives creep back. The script gets softer. I don't rewrite the brief. I don't start a new chat. I type one message. Dry. Stay there. That is the entire message. Claude reads the asterisk emphasis as a register pin, the period as finality, and the standalone instruction as a course correction. The next output snaps back to the voice the brief asked for, 1 character on each side of 1 word. 6 months of using this, and it still feels like cheating. Cue 2, the iteration cue, the move. When Claude's output is close but not quite right, don't say try again. Say, now do that again, but, and then name the variation. The difference is the word but. It tells Claude the previous output was on the right track. It tells Claude what to change. It tells Claude what to keep. Try again throws everything out. Now do that again, but keeps the spine and changes one thing. The example. Claude has just written me a paragraph that is close. The structure is right. The argument lands. But the second sentence is doing too much. I don't write a critique. I don't explain what is wrong. I type 1 line. Now do that again, but cut the second sentence in half. Claude reads the now do that again, but as confirmation that the rest works, identifies the second sentence as the target, and ships a new version with everything else intact. 1 line replaced 1 paragraph of feedback. The cue is so simple it sounds like nothing. The discipline behind it is significant. Cue 3. In the voice of. The move. When you want Claude to pivot register mid-chat, don't describe the register. Name a voice, real or hypothetical, specific. In the voice of someone who has explained this 50 times today. In the voice of a working barrister who has no patience for the polite preamble. In the voice of your driest friend. Claude finds the voice in its training data and pulls the cadence, the word choice, and the rhythm with it. You get tonal precision that descriptive adjectives never produce on their own. The example. I am drafting an email I need to be firm without being cold. I have been writing it 3 different ways, and none of them feel right. I stop trying to describe what I want. I type 1 line. Rewrite this in the voice of a senior colleague who likes me but is busy. Claude reads senior colleague as authority register, likes me as warmth, but is busy as economy of language. The rewrite arrives. It is the email I have been trying to write all morning. The cue works because Claude has read more emails than I have written. When you point it at the right voice, you aren't asking Claude to invent. You are asking Claude to remember. Cue 4, the inline aside, the move. When you need to add context inside a longer message without breaking the flow, use double slashes, / aside, then your aside, then continue with the main message. This is the cousin of /btw from cues.01. The difference is placement. /btw opens a fresh message. / aside sits inside an existing one. Same job, different geometry. Claude reads the double slash as parenthetical, weights the aside content as context rather than instruction, and folds it into the work without losing the main thread. The example. I am asking Claude for a contract clause. I am 2 paragraphs into describing what I need when I realize I should mention something about the counterparty. I don't stop. I don't restart. I keep typing. The clause should sit at the end of the indemnities section / aside. The counterparty is a U.S. entity, so language conventions should follow Delaware norms / and should reference the limitation of liability clause we drafted earlier. Claude reads the aside, applies the Delaware convention to the clause language, and keeps everything else on track. The aside didn't interrupt the message, it informed it. This one takes a week to install in your typing reflex. Once it is there, you won't write a long Claude message without one. Cue 5. Forget that. The move. When a direction you gave earlier in the chat is actually wrong, don't soften the correction. Don't say, let me clarify. Don't say, I should have mentioned. Say, forget that. Then give the fresh instruction. This is the strongest reset cue in the bank. It tells Claude that the previous direction is no longer in play. Not modified, not adjusted, gone. Use it sparingly. The power of forget that depends on it being rare. If you use it on every other message, it loses force. Reserve it for the moments when the previous direction was actually wrong, not just incomplete. The example. I have been asking Claude for a long-form essay structure. Halfway through, I realize the structure is wrong. The essay needs to be short, not restructured, short. I don't explain what changed. I type 1 line. Forget that. Give me 300 words. 1 argument. Plain. Claude drops the long-form structure entirely. Drops the section headers. Drops the introduction body conclusion frame. Ships 300 words on 1 argument in plain register. Forget that is the cue that lets you change your mind without rewriting your brief. It is the operator's permission to be wrong about the previous direction without paying for it in tokens. 5 cues from 6 months of heavy practice. Screenshot this. The pattern across all 5. None of them are system commands. None of them require special syntax. None of them depend on a specific model version. They work because Claude reads English. They work because the shorthand means something specific in natural conversation, and Claude is trained on natural conversation, which means the cue you have been using in your colleagues' messages for years probably already works on Claude. You just haven't tried it yet. What other shorthand do you already use that you haven't pointed at Claude? Try one this week. Tell me what worked. That's the episode. See you in the next one.